All right, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It's just two guys edition today. It's Wolverine and Hawkeye, and we'll get into the nicknames here in a little bit. But recording this Wednesday, we wanted to recording this a little bit later because we wanted to do a recap of Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Stanley Cup is starting Wednesday night, so Game 1 will be finished by the time this is released. And as we record this, the Avs are already up 2-0 with about 10 minutes into the game. The U.S. Open has been a hot topic this week with the new Live Tour starting. And then DeShaun Watson things keep going from bad to worse for him. But before we get into any of that, we're going to recap our weekend in the cities. Ethan's not able to join us today. He'll be back next week. So it's just Grant and I. And Grant, what a weekend, man. That was fun. We jammed a lot in for a short period of time, but it was a memorable one.
Oh, for sure. And that's what you got to do when you get 2 full days, a half day, and then you had to leave on Sunday morning to get back home. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I just want to, we hit the ground running as soon as we picked you up. We got caught in a little Minneapolis 3:00 rush hour traffic. But now that everyone's back for the most part in the office, we'd expect nothing else. But like we said, came back here, dropped your stuff off, got ready, went right down to Cowboy Jackson, saw a very entertaining, excellent baseball game on a Thursday night. Sure, it wasn't the outcome we wanted, but to start that game off with a bang, 3 straight home runs by the Twins. And I would like to say for Ethan, he called that. He called 2 of those home runs. He said, "Arise, Buxton, we're going to go yard." And about 5 pitches into the game, he was right. And then, Correa comes up and, Ethan knew right away. Both you and I were like, well, hopefully it had enough air on it, but it got out of there. And, sure, the Twins fell up short that night, but it was fun to see the long ball from both teams. Larnach hit another one for the Twins. Gallo went deep twice for the Yankees. Regular season game that, like I said, didn't go the way we wanted to, but also it was fun to see Target Field full on a Thursday night. Yep. People had to work the next day. They're excited about this baseball team. The Twins again won another series today, beating Seattle, 5-0. So then, we start a weekend standing against the Diamondbacks. That was fun. And then the golf Friday was, I wouldn't have had it any other way. A 7:30 tee time. We get out, we're playing right away, right before the sun really comes up. We're paired with 2 other nice dudes. Yeah. We were able to play fast, play at a good pace, and talk about just 2 ways to start a weekend off where it couldn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Well, and we'll go back to the Twins game, and like you said, it wasn't the result we wanted, but like I was telling Yankee fans as we were walking out of Target Field, they can have this series because we're getting them in the playoffs. It's going to happen. It has to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to speak it into existence that it will happen. And I can hear the Yankee fans saying, "Oh, well, your record, it doesn't say so." Well, it's got to happen at some point.
All good things must come to an end.
Exactly.
And this 13-game playoff streak that the Yankees are on against us will eventually end. And like I said, we're feeling cocky about this year. We are the mirror of positivity.
We are
on this podcast here, and the Twins are going in the right direction.
Yes, and eventually at some point it's gonna happen because no team ever came back from an 0-3 deficit in the playoffs. Red Sox did that before Roger Bannister. There was nobody before Roger Bannister who ran a sub 4-minute mile. After he did that, there was like 37 within like a couple of years who did it. Now it's common. Like the top world record holders and top runners in the world, they consistently are under 4 minutes in the mile. So it's going to happen. Why not this team? Like Curt Schilling said in the documentary, the 4 Days in October, I keep asking myself this question that I can't come up with the answer with. Why not us? Why not us? Why not this team? They went out and spent money for once to go get Correa. They made a bunch of trades to improve their pitching, which they still need to do. they're not out of the woods yet on that. They need to get another starter. They need to booster up that bullpen. But this offense has the ability to do it. It's just we can get that consistent pitching, the offense to actually show up in the playoffs. This team, this is a dangerous team.
Oh yeah, without question. And like you said, the part that I like the most, besides of course the game we go to, they're out there hitting 4 home runs as a team. But this year, they're winning baseball games the way you need to win in October. Productive outs, moving runners over, not relying on the long ball. That Bomba Squad team in 2019, was it fun? Was it entertaining? Absolutely. Do chicks dig the long ball? Damn straight. Do I love seeing a baseball go 450 feet? Yes. But in October, when the pitching matters and you
face better pitching,
you face better pitching. If the weather is colder outside, we're in a northern climate here, that ball's not going to go as far. When the pitcher's jamming on the inside, it's going to hurt your wrists a little more. You need to play that small ball and move runners over properly, win with defense and pitching. And if you can get a home run or two to help you out, great. But you know what? We're not the Atlanta Braves from last year. We don't have an Eddie Rosario and Freddie Freeman. And
we had an Eddie Rosario.
We again, another guy who left Minnesota, who's thriving elsewhere, and in another sport that's the case right now too. But we'll get to that a little later. And then but again, this team, they're playing the right way. And like Ethan said last week, and he'll say it again, we need to get more pitching. But once we can get our top 3 starters back healthy,
yep.
And look what Chris Archer has done these last 3 starts. This is the he was a hit or miss free agent signing this year. Right now, if he can continue this pace up, it's looking like a hit. And before you know it, we're 4 guys deep. And if we need to do a bullpen game, we're feeling confident about that.
Yeah, exactly. And because they've expanded the rosters because of the shortened spring training. So I think it's smart that the Twins are going to keep that 6 starter throughout because of the durability issues within the rotation. Keeping that 6, keeping those arms fresh for when it matters in October.
Yep, exactly. Because like you said, look, pitching, that's going to win you. That's going to win you World Series titles. Look at what the Nationals did in 2019. Look what Houston didn't do in 2019. They should have thrown out Garrett Cole, kind of just like what San Francisco did in 14 with Bumgarner.
Yep.
If you have a horse, if you have an ace to be a world champion, you throw him out there. And if the Twins can get another guy where we feel confident with that, where, if he gives us 6 good innings in a game 5 type, and then let's hypothetically speaking, say we get to an LCS, we're going to talk about the LCS in the 7-game series before World Series. But if that's the case and we have an ace to give us 6, 7 good innings in game 5, if I need 12 to 10 outs in game 7, I'm bringing that guy in. I'm going out and I'm getting a starter and I'm getting that dude, like what Strasburg did, like what Bumgarner did, and why Dusty Baker, I think, has yet to win a World Series as a manager because he's afraid to go make that play when you have the arm.
Well, and Dusty wasn't the manager when in 19, that was still AJ Hinch. And
that's right. Yep, that's right. I forgot.
But over without a doubt in my mind, though, if after they pull Greinke and they throw Jarrett Cole in, Jarrett Cole is still pitching for the Astros, and the Astros have another World Series banner hanging in Minute Maid Park.
Absolutely, yeah. They're 2 and 3 years, and then getting to that third one last year in 5 years, they're potential for a modern day baseball dynasty. But they were scared to win, and AJ Hinch didn't want to win, and now he's got to suffer because he's got to coach in Detroit, manage in Detroit. But
he's got to throw out Roger Clemens' son, who can throw a 40 mile an hour heater, and just got cranked today. I saw.
Mm-hmm. But and then also I just kind of, again, like we said, I back to the weekend here with that golf setting deal, and I just want to comment on this right away. It was so funny because, like I said, we got paired up with 2 locals.
Yep.
I believe one of the guys' name was Troy. Was he the Lakeville South varsity high school hockey coach or hockey assistant?
Tim. But Tim, yeah, I think I want to say he said he was the head coach.
So it was
one of the Lakeville schools. I can't remember which one, but
I'm pretty sure it was Lakeville South. But it was funny because when we're leaving the clubhouse, the guy at the desk says, "Oh yeah, you're paired up with Tim and Gunner, two locals." And then I see, what has to be a 14-year-old kid, warming up. He's got the Titleist hat on, the polo, the gloves, the golf shoes. And I look at Dylan and I go, "Dude, are you ready to get your ass kicked by a 14-year-old today?" And,
Yep.
Sure shit. The first tee box, Tim went a little right. I think Dylan joined him a little right. I hit a pretty good shot, but this kid just comes up and just ropes one right down the middle. And we're just like, oh, it's on. This 14-year-old southpaw, we had a lefty on our hands.
Yep.
Just, absolutely took our lunch, but he took his dad's lunch too. And him and his dad, they're having a little competition. The kid won on the front nine by a stroke. And then on the back nine, it was over by 12 because his dad doubled and tripled bogeyed the first two. And he just couldn't climb back from that. But it was kind of funny. I just look at Dylan and I'm like, yep, there's this 14-year-old here who's going to take our lunch money. And, sure shit, he won the round between all four of us. But so that was kind of funny, and something where it's just like, I can see this kid whooping our ass, and he sure did.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anytime there's a young kid there, it's middle of the day. It's, oh yeah, this kid means business. And it's not the first time I've had that happen. Down in Arizona, the first time it was my dad and I and another guy. It was just the kid. His dad was basically his caddy. He was driving the cart, telling him what to hit and just go up there, just smoke it. And then there was me, who was putting more balls in the water than the men's swimming team. And it was, and the good thing was he kicked my dad's ass and our the other guy we were golfing with too. But he only did 9 because he had something going on. So after that, it was like, all right, well, feeling a little better about ourselves. But yeah, that kid was good. It was a beautiful course too. The greens were fast. Proudest moment of my round was probably the 40-foot putt I sunk on 2 to save par. And then other than that, I'll just blame it on Ethan's clubs. And he's not here to defend himself, so it's an easy target. But I'll just blame it on his clubs because I don't get to use them much. If I get mine, I'm going like, maybe I shot a 99, maybe I shoot 98.
yeah, 98, 97 with your own clubs. But no, to your point, it's a beautiful course, and those greens, they're tricky because let's be honest, they're nowhere near any PGA greens with the hills and the angles you're gonna
not
have.
What the U.S. Open's gonna have tomorrow. Those guys.
That's just insane. That's just not fair. The shit they have to deal with. It's like, but you know what? That's why these guys are getting paid a lot of money to do what they do. But that course, it was beautiful. It was great. And like I was telling you, it kind of has a northern Minnesota feel to it. And, I've always been kind of, an early bird, wake up right away, kind of start the day off. There was something just peaceful and calming about starting around right at 7:30. The sun isn't up yet. There's still a little sense of that morning dew. And you kind of get to see the day, the day break in front of you. And then when the sun came out, it was just a gorgeous day. So that's something I wish I could do, more often. But hey, that's why we work hard. One day we'll retire.
Yeah,
and then maybe
right.
once we'll be able to get a membership with the boys and, play 4 or 5 days a week at, 7:30, where we just walk in and like, hey, Grant, how's it going? Oh, doing good. Tim, you? All right. Gotcha. Got you in at 7:30. We'll, Charles will let you go off there at the first tee.
Yeah, no, that's one of my, I think that's probably my favorite time of the day to go outside of the waking up early part, just because it is calm.
Yeah.
You're not as rushed. You don't really have to worry about stopping and starting and playing like while you're playing. I like when I start T1, I like going from hole 1 to 18. I don't like waiting if I don't have to. I just like playing. It keeps me in the flow of the game. I don't stiffen up. I say all this as my game is like I'm just this great golfer, which I'm not. I'm far from it, but I don't like waiting because it just seems like it just carries on, and then you have more time to think, and then your game just goes to hell. So,
well, yeah, and like I was telling you, Dylan, that's the hard part. Is for me, it's like sometimes why in a round I might even just not take score or just stop taking score, because golf's already such a hard game. I mean, for the professionals and for the people who are really good at it, And then, let alone, just your average citizens like us who maybe get out once, twice a week. If you just look down at your scorecard and if you see a 6, a 7, and then there's a 5 on there, but that's a par 3, you get down on yourself and you don't feel good. And you're like, I suck. What am I doing? You're terrible at this. And then you don't want to be there. And then it just, goes pear-shaped from there. So it's more or less, I'm just going to try to go out. We're going to try to hit the ball straight. We're going to try to hit the ball far. And, there's going to be a couple holes where, damn it, we look like professionals out there. I mean, for myself, I had a nice little stretch there to the end of the front 9. According to the scorecard, the hardest hole in the course, I parred that and looked like a pro. And, hit some nice shots after that. But just try not to, and that's the hard part about this game. It's so mentally tough. Don't psych yourself out and just go out and have a good time, enjoy the scenery with the boys.
You see, though, that's where you get other competitive people like me to play against. And when your game starts going to shit, you start shit talking the other guy, getting their head a little bit. And that's when they start playing bad. And then you realize that, you keep running your mouth. You start to play a little better. You get a little confident. And then their game, they're in a bad mood. And you just you just kick them when they're down. And just because at some point it's all going to come back and go from there. But that's just me. And Grant's a way better person than I am. So we'll move on to the rest of the night, the rest of Friday, where we got to be treated to a full-on feast at Fogo de Chao. And this is Grant and Ethan's first time at Fogo. Grant got a free meal there because he won the bracket. Boo. And I kept telling Grant and Ethan, Grant was fully sold on it. Ethan, I don't know if he was completely sold on it, but after we got that first tray, he knew I wasn't messing around when I said this is the best place you will ever eat in your life.
He was all in. It kind of got started right away, because not to sound, you think you're going to an all-you-can-eat Brazilian steakhouse, you think, oh, we're just going to chow down on some protein and just eat a bunch of meat all night. But that salad bar they had just set the tone right away.
Yep.
Went up, I had some salad.
That smoked salmon was delicious.
The smoked salmon, some chicken Caesar salad, the roasted potatoes they brought to you.
The roasted cauliflower.
I don't think I had any of the cauliflower, but I had some fire roasted corn.
That was
and then
delicious.
With the rice, the beans, and the peppers on top. It was a nice opening plate, and then just like you said, they walk around, with their skewer. They're like, top sirloin. Oh yeah, sure, I'll take some. Filet mignon. Oh yeah, I'll take some. Oh, we got a strip steak here. You want some? Yeah. Bone-in ribeye. Yeah, I'll take this. And before you know it, you have 12 different cuts on your plate, and they're all small servings, but you can't get enough of them.
No.
And you want to keep coming back for more and keep coming back for more. And I will say the one thing I wasn't a fan of that I never had before, and I was on the fence, was the lamb.
Okay.
It was a little too, it almost had a rubbery texture to me.
Which lamb? The lamb chop or the leg of lamb?
So there's the leg of lamb. The lamb chop was okay.
Just a small.
Yeah, but
you don't get a lot of meat on it.
It wasn't a big
downside of it.
Wasn't a big lamb guy, but everything else was just absolutely fantastic. And it was crazy as the night started, then they had, Parmesan crusted, pork. And then, the chicken drumstick came out, which I felt was about 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
It was.
But you're at this Brazilian steakhouse, all you can eat. And I look at Ethan and I say, dude, what's crazy? The best thing I've had so far may have been this Italian sausage.
And it's delicious.
It was
good.
delicious. The only thing that would have made it better was if it had, that like spicy ground mustard, which they just screwed the pooch and didn't pick it up. But it was fantastic. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth, which was your money.
Yeah.
So know that your return on the investment for Grant's portion of your meal, he definitely appreciated that. I will say the one thing that really pissed me off and caught me off guard was these waiters, they come to the table and they're like, hey, can I get you guys any, spring water or sparkling water? And, we look around and we're like, oh yeah, we'll take some spring water. Cause we each got a drink and you're just kind of hanging out there. And then the bill comes and you see they charge us $7.50 for a glass of water. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is how
Yeah.
this place profit, charging people $15 for water. I mean, come on, guys. And they control the portion size, so you can't go up and get a steak and then not eat it. So it's like, God, they're taking you by the balls and taking you for everything it's worth. But no, it was fantastic. Definitely would want to go again. And it was easy to get to. You got a reservation, no problem. So I'm definitely
Changed
going
like
back.
3 times.
Well, yeah, and then we walk in and you're like, yeah, a reservation at 6:45 for Dylan. Oh, we don't have it on the books. And my heart sank for about a half a second. I was like, are you kidding me? It doesn't get changed, or it's going to be at 8 and they're not going to let us wait around. We're going to have to waste a bunch of time downtown and all this other stuff. And she's like, oh no, I'm just messing with you. Come with me.
Yeah, well, and back to the charging for water and that type of stuff. But it's one of them places you don't eat that very often, so it's okay to splurge a little bit. I didn't have any issue with it. I don't get to see you guys a whole lot, so you guys are worth my money.
Well, there we go. And at the end of the day, it's like $7 isn't a whole. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to kill us, but more or less just a surprise. Like, holy shit, I did not see this coming.
No, but yeah, it was incredible. Can't wait to go back. And what was your favorite meal of Fogo? What was your favorite plate they served?
Ooh. It's a tie. Actually, it's probably between the filet they had, which was just well done. You could cut through it like butter. But I tell you what, that the way they made that top sirloin,
Yep.
oh, it was just delicious. It was very meaty. A lot of good flavor to it. There was a little bit of fat on the outside, but it was great flavor. That was very tender. That top sirloin just blew my brains away with how good that was. And like I've told you, I don't eat much red meat anymore because the price has gotten through the roof. But if I do, I'm usually going to get a prime graded top sirloin and have about 20 ounces of steak at that one time. That top sirloin was just fantastic.
Yeah, I think that would be mine too. But we'll move on to so after that we went home. I think we were in a food coma until about probably 10 o'clock the next day. We'll move on to Saturday, where Grant and I started the day off. We just kind of hung out. We didn't really have a whole lot planned. We just kind of slept in, woke up, hung out at the house. We got to watch the timeless American classic Happy Gilmore. Then we went and ate, and then Grant and we went and saw Top Gun Maverick. And as you can see here, if you're watching the YouTube portion, you should also subscribe while you're there. But you can see that our names are what our names would be if we were fighter pilots and Top Guns. Wolverine for me, Hawkeye for Grant. And actually, I should change it to Big Ten champion Wolverine, because Michigan did win the Big Ten championship there.
Hey, facts are facts. I can't argue that. I mean,
but
do what you want to do.
But it would be an understatement to say that Top Gun Maverick took our breath away.
Absolutely, and I see what you did there. that was delicious. But that movie was great. I mean, everyone I talked to said it was probably the best movie they've seen in a couple of years.
It was like Fogo. They couldn't have undersold it.
They couldn't have undersold it, and I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. I was like, is it going to be as good? Are people going to hype this up to be something that it can't be? And it delivered. It delivered on every single aspect the movie could have had. They tied in so much to the original, but then they also brought some new aspects from the original to the new movie. And I honestly wouldn't be upset if I went and saw it again in theaters or whenever it comes out in HBO Max, watching that time and time again. And who knows, with how much success this had in the box office, that this might be one of those rare movies that still comes out on DVD. I doubt it. Like I said, with everything but on HBO Max. But I tell you what, man, I cannot wait to see this movie again. it was so well done. You know, with Tom Cruise, you're bringing back, Val Kilmer, and then just again the tie-ins to the original movie blended in with this new stuff. It was perfect. It was well done, and I really liked the first Top Gun, but this movie was so much better than the other ones, and it's one of the rare ones where the sequel is better than the first.
Yeah. And they, like you said, they did such a good job of tying the first one in to the
Hmm.
second to this one, and then still bringing in new stuff. I think the enhanced special effects, the enhanced graphics, and all the new stuff that Hollywood has come up with from 30 oh,
36 years
26 years ago.
it was 86.
Or 86. Yeah, 30. Jeez. Yeah,
30.
30. Oh man. Yeah, from 36 years ago. It's crazy. And then the opening, and we're not going to spoil the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. You won't be disappointed. But and then one of the best parts about it too was the way they were still able to get get in some good laughs in intense parts of the scenes where
Yes.
it was some intense parts, and then there was some comic relief where you just kind of start laughing. And I like that part of it too, just to kind of break the tension. And I think, I don't know, but when the movie finished and the credits started rolling, Grant and I just looked at each other like our eyes were just big, our jaws were on the floor. And there was a part there too where it was almost you almost get, I didn't cry, Grant did, but you get a little bit teary eyed just because you get that little bit of a flashback from the first one, and just that little sentimental moment that happens.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that I really liked throughout the first one. They kept. I'm not going to name any characters, but they kept a rivalry throughout the movie. And then towards the ending, you had just like in the first one, late movie, someone come off that battleship and help save the day, and then to recreate a handshake towards the end, just like in that first one. It was fantastic. And then when Maverick or Tom was in his locker, and looking at his billboards to see that and how it comes full circle.
Yep.
It just really hit home. And like I think I told you this, I don't know if I said this on the podcast here, but before this movie, I think Tom Cruise rejected 11 Top Gun
It's like
scripts.
11 or 12, yeah.
11, and because he wanted it done the right way. And this 12th one was done the right way. And I really hope
wait.
it was worth the wait. And I really hope they don't make a third one, because to end the way this ended would be just perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Feel
Top
like
Gun's-
if they do another one, it would almost end up like a Godfather 3, something like that, which was
Yeah, it was just
terrible.
They missed it, and you really ruined the legacy of two. The Godfather 1 and 2 were two great movies.
It's another series that the sequel was almost better than the first.
I think it was.
Yeah. I think so too.
Godfather 1, but unpopular opinion here. I like Goodfellas more than any of the Godfathers, but that's a topic. That's a discussion for a different day. But yeah, Goodfellas over Godfather. You heard it here. You heard it from me, folks. But yeah, that Top Gun was, and and just a really good cast. And these Miles Teller, John Hamm, Tom Cruise, and everyone else. They knocked it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, they did. Like I said, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Father's Day is Sunday. It's a good way to spend time with your dad.
If you're not, yeah, go to Top Gun.
Yeah, or take your dad with it to Top Gun with you. So
yep,
there you go. We just solved your Father's Day dilemmas. If you don't have plans yet, or if you haven't gotten them anything, go take them to Top Gun. Spend the money; it's worth it. And then after that, we went to US Bank Stadium and we watched probably the greatest concert I've ever been to. Eric Church-Morgan Wallen, 70,000 people at US Bank Stadium, and it was a place where the two artists did not have to sing because the entire crowd was singing the songs for them.
And Dylan, Alec and I, we were talking about this afterwards, or maybe the next day. That was what made that concert so great. when Morgan wanted to maybe take a moment and look at the crowd and see how everyone was here for him, or if Eric wanted to do that too, there a beat was not missed because the whole crowd was singing along, and these fans were there for them. And I just loved how throughout the whole time, especially during Eric's performance, when he got done with maybe 2 or 3 songs in a row and he wanted to take a deep breath, he just stopped and he just looked at the crowd and he appreciated everyone being there for him. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time Eric's doing the stadium tour, and for all these people to show up and support him like that, and he just took it all in. It was fantastic to see. And again, both of these guys, they both didn't miss. I mean, I love them both. And I'm gonna be honest, dude, I was still buzzing all the way through Sunday after this concert with how great it was. I was on such a high when I took you back to the airport, when I dropped you off on my way to go to the gym. I was listening to all Morgan. And then when I got to the gym to start my workout, it was all Church. And then about halfway through my workout, it was a combination of both. It took me till about Tuesday to listen to, I think, another artist other than those two, because they were so great. And I loved every single minute of it. And what I love most about these guys' songs is they tell such a story that we can relate to. And the way they present it, it's like poetry.
Yep.
You put yourself in these guys' shoes, or should I say boots. And when I listen to Morgan talk, I feel like I'm in Eastern Tennessee, sitting here rooting for the Vols, wearing my Red Wings to work, working hard, blue collar guy. And then, Church just kind of, growing up in Carolina there, just, being a straggler, going all over the place, just, I feel like I'm with these guys when they're singing. And that's the best part about it. It's poetry. Listen to them sing.
Yeah, like you said, it's relatable. Their songs are relatable. The words they play, his one of my favorite Eric Church songs is the Outsiders, and
he opened with that.
Just the blue collar, the bring your lunch pail to work type, because that's how those guys are. That's how they came up. That's how most of them are, and they haven't forgotten those roots of how they came up. They remember playing in those dive bars. They remember playing in front of 3 people. Eric Church definitely remembers coming to Hettinger for the Hettinger County Fair when he was first starting up, which is about an hour and a half south of Dickinson, where I live. And you could tell these guys just love playing the music. Eric Church played for 3.5 hours, played 26 songs. Morgan Wallen played for probably an hour and a half. He probably played another 20 or so.
Morgan was a little closer to about like an hour 45.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, hold on. Shoot, 7. No, about an hour and a half. Excuse me, about an hour and a half.
Okay.
He was about 30 to 9. But yeah, to your point, is just they just love what they do, and the crowd brought the energy throughout the whole night. And that place was buzzing. That place was buzzing for 4.5 hours, and it was just fantastic. And I can't wait for these guys to come back to Minneapolis, St. Paul again, because after what the crowd did for them, they'll be back, and you can guarantee my ass is going to be in that seat.
Oh yeah, I might have to make a special trip out there again. So plan accordingly. And I think the other thing too is, Grant, as I think they could have played, they probably would have played another hour each of them if they could, or could, because they were that good. The crowd was in it the entire time.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would have sat and listened to them the whole way. If they wanted to play until my flight left, I would have sat there and I would have listened to it.
I'm right there with you.
I actually, this is a new theory here, is I think they only stopped playing is because they ran out of beer to sell.
Dude, you're probably actually not wrong. It's crazy, but US Bank Stadium, I think I saw the actual attendance, because they cut out from like the 20-yard line back on one of the end zones, and you can't get around, so that takes out a lot of seats. It was 51,007, US Bank Stadium said the next day on Facebook, but still not an empty seat in the house.
No.
And when everyone was going to get beer and seltzers and everything, people weren't coming back with 2. They were coming back with 4. Each person had 4. So they ran out, like you said, they ran out of beer. And I think they were worried that, oh shit, we ran out of beer pretty fast. These people are pretty tuned up. If we play for another hour, this is going to be real bad, and lives are going to be put in jeopardy. And I think US Bank Stadium said, we don't want a potential lawsuit on our hand, and we got to work with Minneapolis PD for this football season coming up. So we're gonna end this thing right around midnight. Like you said, if they could have, both of these dudes, they could have played for the next 8 hours, and I would have been fine. And I'm not going to say, but just again, some of the lyrics that these guys say, they're poetry, and you can put yourselves in there, and you feel like you're in that situation where if you're with a significant other and people, they don't trust you, they don't believe you, they don't like you, but you're going through this ride of life together, you can. And if you're in Morgan's situation where you're stuck, and you're still single and you're going through heartbreak, you can put yourself in those situations too, because we've all been there, and we'll continue to be in situations like that. And it's just, it was just like you said, I'm still buzzing off that. Not so much anymore, but all day Sunday into Monday, I couldn't get over how great that concert was.
Well, and like you said, you were alternating between Morgan Wallen and Eric Church. And I added a third one to it. It was those two, and then I was also going through the Top Gun soundtrack. So all three in the weekend.
Hey, and dude, I wouldn't be lying when I said when I'm at the gym and I need a nice workout, when Danger Zone comes on, I'm fucking amped. I'm ready to roll. I mean, I'm sitting back and I'm like, you know what? I'm an incline bench press today. I'm gonna put 2 plates on the side, and you know what? I repped it out by 6, so I'm feeling good. So yeah, all around, the music this weekend was fantastic, and I'm still buzzing off that on today, Wednesday.
Oh, absolutely! It was a great weekend. Hopefully, we'll get to do it again soon. But we'll move over to the NBA Finals, and when this episode drops, it will be Game 6 in Boston tomorrow night. And the Warriors have a chance to close it out. And Game 4, and Game 5 were very similar, where Boston just cannot get out of their own way. They're that classic, almost procrastinator, almost just, they prefer to have those deadlines. They're basically like what Grant and I were in colleges. We had a paper due at 11:59. We would be typing it and submitting it at 11:59, and they seem to have their backs against the wall. It happened in the Milwaukee series where they had a chance to close it out at home, or no, in Boston. They laid an egg, win it in Game 7. Conference Finals, they had a chance to close it out in Boston.
And in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee series, they could have closed them out. They lost in Game 5 at home. They won in Milwaukee on Friday, and then won Game 7 Sunday at the Garden.
Yep, that's how it was. Yep.
And then to your point, the Heat, you're up 3-2. You're up 3-2. You're going to close these clowns out at home, and you let a small forward from the Miami Heat put up 45 plus points in the TD Garden. I think we've seen that before. And then you finish them out there in Game 7. Yes, the Celtics team, it's a weird team.
And I think earlier we were saying if the Celtics were to win, and I said Celtics in 6, that's not going to happen. So I'm allowed to change it to Celtics in 7 because they're still alive. They're not dead yet. And I'm still going to roll with it. The biggest thing I think the Celtics need to do is they just need to shut up and stop whining about the refs, because they've been bad both ways. And they're that classic young team that when one thing, they let just one bad thing get in the way, they let it snowball and just sticks in their head, and they haven't figured out just, hey, next play, move on. And that's what seems to bite them in the butt, because the Warriors were up, 12 at halftime, and the Warriors are known for those good third quarter spurts. It was the opposite in Game 5. Boston came out, and it was about 2 minutes left in the third, and my buddy goes, and it was right after the Celtics tied it at 53-53, and he goes, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but he goes, have the Warriors only scored 2 points up to this point? And I'm like, holy shit, yeah. They've only scored 2 points. And
Yeah,
then
30.
and then
Yeah,
Poole hits
39.
that big shot again. And
Yep.
and then after that, the game just flipped. It was like the Twins game we went to after they had that error in between second and third baseman.
No. After Polanco shit the bed.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. After Polanco shit the bed.
And you just took the air out of target field. That just seemed to just amp up the Chase Center.
Yep.
And the Warriors almost like coasted. Robert Williams, I think, and Jason Tatum actually played one of his better games. Boston, neither team could make a three. This was one of Steph's worst games. One of Jaylen Brown's worst game, or I shouldn't say one of Steph's worst. Steph didn't play his best. It wasn't. Yeah, I'd say it wasn't his best game.
In this series, it was his worst game.
Yep, Jaylen Brown had the yips when he was dribbling, and right now I think Robert Williams is the X factor for them, and you can definitely tell the Warriors are intimidated. They don't want to go anywhere near the paint when he is in the game.
Well, dude, if you look at it right now, for me, there's two dark horse MVP candidates for Finals MVP on both teams, and no one talked about going into the playoffs. For the Celtics, it's Robert Williams, because what did we say after Game 3? With him and Al Horford, the Celtics are too big. The Warriors, they don't have a big guy. Draymond's not himself. Sure, 3 equals more than 2, but when the Celtics are shooting 55% from the field with these big guys and Robert Williams is changing the game defensively, the Warriors can't handle. The Warriors can't hang. And then for the Warriors, I mean, are we low-key looking at Andrew Wiggins if he has another Game 6 like he did in Game 5 and possibly getting Finals MVP votes? I mean, because it's crazy. And Van Gundy said this in the telecast on Monday. He goes, the Warriors championship pedigree and experience kind of took over in this game where they had that big lead at halftime. Then Boston makes 8 straight threes, I think, from the second quarter into the third quarter. And you're like, oh, shoot, Boston's got the lead. The Warriors blew it again. The Celtics are going to go up 3-2 going home. And then the guy with little to no playoff experience, Andrew Wiggins, comes in and takes this game over. And this is when we're sitting back like, this is a player I think people thought he was going to be when he came out of Kansas. And I'm really just glad for him.
Yeah.
He's got his moment to shine, and he did it against that Dallas series. And man, these last 2 games, he's been just fantastic for the Warriors. So I don't know. I kind of selfishly hope that maybe I picked the Warriors in 7, but I almost hope that they can close it out tomorrow night and Andrew plays a good game so he can get his moment. Where people are going to be like, hey, you know what? Former number 1 pick, he got out of a bad situation, but now look at him. It's his time to shine, and he's earned it.
Yeah, and back to Robert Williams, he's the only starter he played 30 minutes of the game. He was plus 11. He was the only starter that when he was on the court, they were positive. He was plus 11. Tatum was minus 13 for the plus minus. This is Al Horford was non-existent, minus 19. Marcus Smart minus 9. Great job of complaining to the refs. And then
that's all he's done.
Yeah. And I had him as an X factor. I also had Wiggins as an X factor, and he's proven it. Like, he's stepped up.
Oh, Wiggins has been great.
And he, like you said, I thought it was Kansas Andrew Wiggins, and then Jaylen Brown was minus 19 as well. So
Jaylen Brown, after the first half of Game 4, has disappeared from the series. He was the Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Up to halftime at Game 4, you're like, oh, Jaylen Brown, he's got this. He's going to prove why he was the the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And a lot of people are like, really, Jaylen Brown? Yeah. Okay. And then, coming into this year, people are saying they need to trade him because him and Tatum can't play together. And then he turns it around, but now it's like, where'd he go? He's gone. Do we need to call Boston PD? In person's report? Because Jaylen Brown is nowhere to be seen.
No, and it's game 6 tomorrow. Boston is a 4-point favorite. So
really, 4 points.
Yep. 4-point favorite. They are at home. You know that crowd is going to be raucous, and the only thing I have in my mind right now is who's going to win? The Celtics, because there's no other reason why, and I'm not even going to try to disrespect the Bostonians. I don't know what
It's
they're.
because you don't like the Warriors.
Well, exactly, but the Celtics are going to win because the Celtics are the balls. In my Midwest accent, because I
Yeah.
don't want to disrespect Boston. So that I still think there's no reason the Celtics can't. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors won tomorrow night. I also wouldn't be shocked if the Celtics win in 7. That's just the way this series has gone. It's been two teams that just like to give the ball away to the other team, and in the end, if if that's the story of the game, these next two games, if it needs to be, if Boston can limit the turnovers and hit a few threes at least, they're NBA champions.
If they're not turning the ball over so much, this series is probably over already.
Yeah.
I mean, the other night in the first half, did they have what 11 turnovers, and the Warriors had 17 points off those turnovers in the first half?
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect to beat this team when you're just giving possessions away. And
you can do it against the Orlando Magic, but you can't do it in Game 4 or Game 5 of the NBA Finals.
No, I mean, and you can do that, this year in the conference finals against the Heat, and then when you're playing the Bucks, but not against this team. Though, we always say, history repeats itself. If I'm the Celtics, there's one thing that I'm worried about right now. It's Klay Thompson going into a Game 6. I don't know if any other force that we've seen in the NBA, like Klay Thompson in Game 6 and any series, it's like it's almost like Michael Jordan goes into his soul and plays that game for Klay. That's like the closest thing I can come up with. I mean, I don't even ever think I saw Kobe take over a Game 6 or a Game 7 the way that Klay has. It's unbelievable for something. He's like, in 16 against Oklahoma City in that third quarter, I was just like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
And then he was doing it 3 years ago against the Raptors before he tore his ACL, and then what he did against Memphis this year. But I like seeing that because I don't like the Grizzlies. I think they're a bunch of clowns. So that was fun to see. But Klay in Game 6, that's a scary sight to see, man. I mean, that's almost like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl. It's like, hide your wives, hide your kids, because bad things are about to happen.
Yeah. So Game 6 tonight, 8 Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, Celtics -4.
Yeah, you're
right.
right.
I might share my pick later on for my bets. We'll see what happens, but we'll keep moving on. The U.S. Open is this week, but there's been quite the controversy with this new Live Tour. It's Saudi funded. They've gotten quite a few guys to switch over. Bryson DeChambeau, Greg Norman is kind of the head commissioner, if you will. Dustin Johnson, not Brandy Chambly, Charles Schwartzel, Lee Westwood, a lot of the older guys, and
Isn't Phil playing in there too?
Yep, Phil, and they're throwing all sorts of money at him. And the obvious reason this is a big talking point is because of the Saudis' human rights violations, if you will, basically what it is, which nobody is going to agree with. But it's and most of these guys they're taking it for the money, and you can't criticize somebody for taking the money. And as far as I've seen, I've never seen most of these guys who are in this league. They don't come out and trash how awful America is and then hush up when it comes to China, because most of the people who are criticizing their move to it are the same people who won't say anything about the NBA's relationship with China, who basically shut up and dribble for China and then go and talk about how awful America is. I don't have an issue with it. The PGA has banned all the players who are playing in this Live Tour. They aren't able to play in any PGA events. That doesn't exclude the majors, which we'll get into a little bit later. Before, like Grant shares thoughts after Grant shares his thoughts on this. But realistically, if they're still able to play in the majors, it's which is probably what all those guys only care about anyways.
Oh, for sure.
We basically now have free agency in golf.
Well, yeah, and let's be honest. Besides the four majors, and we got the U.S. Open this weekend. We got of course the Players in Jacksonville is a big one. The Waste Management in Phoenix. What other tours that aren't majors that are bigger on the PGA that people watch? I mean, is the Memorial a big one? Like I said, we got the Players there in Jacksonville, and then we got the Waste Management. But if it's not a major, are casual fans turning out to watch golf? And so I think all the PGA is doing by suspending these big names is actually hurting their game, just because their feelings got hurt. And these guys, they left the PGA to play for LIV. But I kind of actually like the concept of this LIV. Roman numeral for 54, only 54 holes on a tournament, so you don't have to just abuse your body playing golf 4 days in a row and walking 7,500 yards every day. And then also just how the dress code, it's going to be a little more casual. These guys are able to wear polos. They're going to be able to put shorts on. They don't have to have the long pants. And I think golf needs this if they want to expand this game across this country. Because yes, did golf take off in 2020 when everything was shut down? We couldn't do it. Absolutely. That's when I really got my niche and said, hey, you know what? I think this is something I could love to do and play for a long time. But it's still too a little high class, still too a little fuddy-duddy for the American people. And if we can, get this, this LIV golf going where, they're only playing three rounds a weekend, they're playing shorts, it's a little more laxed. And if you can show how these guys can make so much money off this, I mean, Dustin Johnson signed like $125 million 4-year deal with this
straight up too.
They straight up, and that's more money than Tiger ever made on the PGA. Tiger made his money, for endorsements, it's Nike and all this other stuff. But if you can pay these guys and they can go out there and they can have a little more fun and they can play in courses across the world, not just the best ones in the United States, let's promote this game. Let's get it out there and let's have some fun with it. I have no issue with these guys, going to get the bag. I mean, we live in a capitalistic society. If you can go out and get money, go out and get money. I'm not going to stop you from doing it.
No, exactly. And the only time I'd have an issue with it is if they continually trash the country they live in and then go out and take basically blood money. Yeah.
Yeah, blood money. Yeah, exactly.
And I probably am not going to watch a whole lot of the LIV Tour either, because they're going to have a heck of a tough time getting a TV deal.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be hard to see. It'll be interesting to see. But I mean, these Saudi guys have enough money, more money than anybody in the world 12 times over. So, and as far as I think if the PGA really wanted to take a stand, they need to go and work with the majors, because I don't think a lot of people know this, that the majors are actually operate basically as like a private entity of sorts, where it's separate from the PGA. It's sponsored by the PGA, but the majors do their own thing. And if you read the U.S. Open letter about the LIV Tour, is they're letting them play in the 2022 U.S. Open, and very specifically the 2022 U.S. Open. So it's definitely this isn't gonna be the last we're gonna hear about what's gonna happen. So want to stay tuned for that, because my gut says that once the final the British Open is played, because that's the last major of the year, right?
Correct. Yep. Because they had they
already had the PGA. Yep.
They're in Oklahoma.
And I think the British Open is going to allow those guys to play as well. So I think, yeah, absolutely. And because realistically, I don't think the LIV Tour is going to get a lot of viewers. I think that you're going to get a few of your diehards, but for the most part, you're not going to get a lot, because most of the big names are still playing on the PGA Tour. I think a lot of people will just check it out at a quick glance, because I think right now it's only streamed on YouTube and the LIV website. maybe. I'm not positive, but there's going to be a meeting between the four majors and the PGA where they're going to say, well, if you're part of this, you're not able to play the majors. If that changes the minds of some of these guys, we'll see what happens. But even then, like, yeah, it's awesome watching Phil, Bryson, Charles Schwartzel, all
Dustin
those
Johnson.
guys. Yep, Dustin Johnson. It's good watching them play those majors, but it's also cool to see, those random guys that are in the hunt on that last day. Scotty Scheffler, Will Zalatoris, those types of guys playing and in contention, watching them get that first major, which is a special moment to see, just to watch those guys take everything in and see that. So if that allows another guy to come through, get in a major, win a major, so be it. So
That
it's
might be the
definitely,
greatest thing. That might be the greatest thing for the PGA that they don't even know yet.
yep.
It could be, one of those situations where it looked dim and it didn't look promising, but good things happened because they waited and they just, they played it out and they let some of the, some popular names go right now, but then they let these new young horses come in and start, a new following, for golf. Again, they're never going to have a Tiger Woods again, but you could have, a couple of guys who are kind of like a young Phil where we can watch for the next 20 years.
Well, and I'm glad you said that though too. You brought up Tiger's name because Tiger, I heard today it was north of 750 million to join the Live Tour, but he said he is loyal, and that's the one thing the PGA has backing them is they have guys, probably the two biggest names in golf, I would say, between Tiger and Rory, backing that they're
Yeah.
going to stay with the PGA. So we'll see what happens, and I think at some point too, the PGA, if the Live is still struggling to get guys, at some point, for as much money they're throwing it, the Saudis are gonna look and realize that, well, we're not making a big ROI on it. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but we'll stay in the controversial lane. And DeShaun Watson today, it was announced as we record this, he had two more women that I don't believe they have formally filed lawsuits yet, but accuse him of sexual assault. That's 26 now that he is up to. And Grant, this might be the most Browns thing ever to fully guarantee a contract to a player who might not ever play for them.
Oh, I know this is just such a tough and awkward and awful situation for everyone involved. I mean, at this point, football's an afterthought. We're not thinking about the 5-year 200 and what was it 230
230,
million dollars? Yeah, $230 million guaranteed because it's like 26, claims of sexual assault, coming out your way. That's just, it's awful to say, but it's one of those things where, in America with the justice system, you're innocent until proven guilty. So I don't want to sit back and, Pitchfork Nation come out and destroy Deshaun's personality because, he has a right to defend himself. But then, these women, they also have the right to say if something bad happened to them to say, hey, get this guy away from me. So it's just an awful, weird situation, to be in, right now. But then also, if we think about it, I'm going to put some of this blame on the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans made the situation worse because they did nothing with Deshaun last year. Had they came out and they said that we were going to play him, no, he's our starting quarterback. We believe his innocence until he's proven guilty in this country. Then the NFL would have had to make a decision by now, and the Browns wouldn't be put in this spot. But it's just kind of a tough situation because we don't know any of the facts, and we might not know any of the facts for a long time. So yeah, like I said, it could be the most Browns thing to ever do. But then, if we go back to the football side of it, let's not forget how good this Browns roster is. And they were truly a quarterback away from probably being a playoff team last year. So, and then let's also not forget how good Deshaun was in 2020, the last time we saw him play football. The dude went absolutely berserk with Brandon Cooks. Yes, Brandon Cooks as your number one wide receiver option. He threw for over 4,700 yards. I think he had 40 plus touchdowns. But that should be the last thing on our mind right now, because he's got to clear himself, and we got to get this figured out before I think he should be allowed to play a football game.
Yeah, and the NFL's put in a tough spot too, because Goodell does not have a good history with player discipline, because he hasn't been charged with anything. It's important we point that out. He has not been charged with anything, but he has 24, probably by the end of the week, 26 civil cases against him. And it's just a bad look. You just get a bad feeling in your taste.
Bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want it. You don't want to speculate, but obviously something happened if you have that many women filing lawsuits against you. And we're never going to know the truth, because it in a court of law, it is such, and especially in those types of cases, it is such he said, she said thing, where there's really no way, unless there was a camera involved, which there's not.
Yep.
As far as we know, but it's still it's a bad look on DeShaun. It's a bad look on the Browns. It's a bad look on the Texans. It's a bad look on the NFL. And you're put in a tough spot, because if you suspend him, he can appeal and say, I haven't been charged with anything criminally.
I have no wrongdoing, because in the court of law, they haven't figured out that I broke a law. And violated anyone's human rights. But then again, I stand by this stance here: innocent until proven guilty. It's the way this country operates. But then you look at it like this: this isn't one or two or three or four allegations coming your way. It's 24, potentially 26,
with 66 different women,
with
66
different massage therapists. And you just have to sit back and think this: where there's smoke, there's got to be some fire. With
this
that,
is an inferno.
With that just sheer number. But again, we don't know what he did. Did he just pull a towel up and say, hey, hey, look at this, or did something else happen? I don't know. I don't know what he did, how grotesque it was, or if he didn't do anything at all. It's hard to even comment on something like this, because we have no facts. And if we have no facts, we can't come to a clear conclusion with this. But I really hope this gets figured out sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's sake, for, not only for the NFL and the Browns and DeShaun, but also for the women across this country who are putting their name out there with these allegations, for DeShaun, whether it's, in his home state of Georgia, in Texas, maybe if he went South Carolina back to Clemson, just so these women, they can move on with their lives as well.
Yeah, indeed. And it's one of those things too, is it's important. We should not be jumping in this social media era where it's reacting emotionally and tweeting your things out that as soon as stuff comes out. It's important to wait for all the facts to come out. So that's all we're going to comment on that. So development we'll certainly be keeping an eye on as the NFL season approaches, which is getting closer. But that's how we'll end that part of the show, and we'll let Grant take it away for Curveball of the Week.
So yeah, we were talking about the U.S. Open this week, and it looks, again, just an absolutely beautiful course just outside of Boston. And the U.S. Open is known for having some of the thickest rough on any golf course. If you put it in the rough, you probably can't see your ball, and you're laying up for sure, because you have no shot there. So with that rough being so high and almost unfair, it got me thinking, what are some rules in sports that are just like straight up unfair to people participating in, or rules that are just so outlandish that we can't stand them, and it almost takes some of the fun away from the game with that?
Well, and NFL taunting rules this year, for one.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because the taunting rule I had in mind was actually in college football. And, the big one this year was when Iowa State was playing Oklahoma State. and an Iowa State wide receiver, he starts, kind of high stepping at the 5-yard line. He's going in for a touchdown. They're playing a top 5 team. It's at home. Jack Trice is about to, blow the proverbial doors off that building, and they call him back for taunting. And Matt Campbell's losing his mind. And it's just, for me, it's like, sports are such an emotional game. Let these athletes go out and have a good time. If they want to celebrate in the end zone, just let them go out and let them, let them have a good time. So I just don't think that's fair. I think we need to let these guys go out there and have fun. So that's just always kind of one rule that's always kind of upsets me and puts people in a bad spot.
Yeah, that, and then there at some point there is drawing a line, but if a guy is high stepping into the end zone, there's no harm, no foul there. He's not like cocking off. I've seen times where guys will like be waving, the Tyreek Hill. There you could make an argument there, because that is somewhat taunting, and that's a little bit of a cockiness thing. But if guys are celebrating with their team and they get flagged for taunting, or I actually just saw this on my Twitter page, like right before we started recording. It was in 2019. It was Michigan State, and who was it? Tariq Black went up for a catch, nice fade route, jump ball, went up and got it. Gets up and he flexes, and there's no Michigan State player around. He was like looking at the crowd. There was one of his teammates, I think Peoples-Jones, was right in front of him. He flexes on him, and then the ref throws the flag.
Yeah. It's like, come on, guys. It's an emotional ass game. Let these go out and play. Look how excited we get if we're playing basketball at your local LA Fitness or the local golf course, and let's say we have a great drive, and we're 120 out, and we put it within 5 feet of the pin. We get excited. I know this past weekend, I was fist pumping our partners. I probably smacked you on the ass, and I pulled out a Tom Brady. Let's fucking go. You're in front of 70,000, 80,000 people at a rival stadium. This whole week, Coach Harbaugh has told you, hey, this is for the state championship. This is our team. It's a trophy game. What a little flex isn't going to hurt anyone's feelings. Come on now.
Well, that one was in the big house, but it's also another good conversation for this is the unwritten rules of sports.
Dumb.
Like, just get out of here. Like
the biggest one for me is these old grungy, grumpy old baseball guys. No bat flips, or someone hits our player. We got to throw at someone at them. No, stop. These unwritten rules are stupid. They worked, in the 50s when there was no excitement to the game and you had to have people watch. Let's just move on from that bullshit.
No, if you don't, it is a very easy solution. If you don't want somebody pimping a home run, don't throw a shitty ass pitch. Don't
throw a hanger down the middle of the plate and let Bautista send it to Ottawa. It's just don't let him do it.
That might have landed. That might still be going in the Pacific Ocean. That was for as far as that went. It might have circled around Japan and rolling in Russia right now.
That was by far the greatest bat flip of all time. And the one thing I wish we'd embrace more on these celebrations and rules that are no fun is how much fun these guys have in college baseball. When their team makes a home run, everyone's out of the dugout. You're waiting for the guy to hit home plate, come around, jump up in the air, and celebrate. We need more of that.
Yeah. Which College Baseball World Series is starting this weekend, I believe.
This Friday.
This Friday, which is one of the best events throughout the summer, especially. It keeps things going. I like that they moved it back too, where it's after Father's Day, where it gives you something to look forward to after the NBA Finals ends, and it'll compete a little bit with hockey right now. The Avs and Lightning playing, but the College Baseball World Series is just something when it comes on, it's that time of year you have to watch it, and the way these guys have, like you said, Grant, the way these college athletes have really just fully embraced the chirping, the team, and playing. Like, Tennessee, they were cocky as hell, as they should have been, because as good as they were, they ended up losing. It makes when they lose so much better, and it makes when they win because they know everybody is cheering against them,
Yes.
and
then
they can hold up the double middle fingers like they're the one guy who hit the walk-off did, and say, yeah, we're winning, we're better than you, and we know it.
And we know it. Yeah, exactly. And then even just some of the traditions that these fan bases are going to bring to Omaha. Two things on that. Texas A&M, whenever they, there's a game, College Station there, and or it's College Station or I think it's College Station, right?
College Station. Yep.
Yeah, College Station. 4-pitch walk. The whole crowd, without skipping a beat, they just go ball 5, ball 5.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
And it can rattle such a pitcher, and they don't say anything. And then you know what? If he throws another ball 6, ball 6, ball 6. I heard this year they once got a pitcher for, I think it was the Gophers, through 11 straight balls.
That's like walking the bases loaded.
Oh my God. Yeah. He finally got a strike on the 12th pitch. And I just, I'm excited for that to happen and everything else these fans are going to bring to Omaha. And also, how great this event is when you can just name it by one word. We're going to one city.
Yep.
We're going to Omaha. It's like, everybody just knows, what that city in Nebraska in this middle of this country means for these college baseball fans. And it's one of the best events that I like watching in the sport school. I mean, ever since I was 8 years old, I can remember, watching this all the time and finding that one team I wanted to win every single year when this tournament started. So I'm excited on Friday for this to get started and find out what team I'm going to root for.
And also gave us one of the best video games of our childhood too, in
MVP,
NCAA baseball.
We need to bring that game back.
They do. And it also shows how great of an event it is when Hawkeye over here has to say something nice about Nebraska. And that's where we're going to end it, with Hawkeye saying nice things about Nebraska. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our Facebook page, YouTube. Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. That'll put a wrap on it for this week. We'll talk to you next week.